My heart is drenched in wine. You beyond my mind. Oh, ever. I wasn't planning on wearing this tank top, and here I am wearing this tank top. A couple of weeks ago, I did a deep declutter of my makeup collection. I only wanted to keep the good stuff. While I was doing that declutter, what I realized was like, oh my god, I have some things that I haven't touched in a while that I wanted to keep. And so what I'm going to do in this video is play with those items that I chose to keep but I haven't played with in a while. Not everything really fits that category because there are some categories I like cycle through quite a bit. I'll mention that as I'm going, but as I'm filming this, I'm on a break from Instagram. As this posts, will I still be on that break from Instagram? I don't know. I have thought about maybe just taking a whole month off of Instagram. If I can go the whole month, maybe I'll just stop doing it, but that's not good for like the synchronicity of social media. It's a really funny thing I've noticed about me is like I really hate social media, and yet here I am. It's one of my jobs. How did I do that? And why? First thing we're going to use today, this is the Sisley Blur Expert. And I mentioned in my declutter series, I think in a recent favorites, sorry, a lot of play. What happens whenever your collection gets smaller is like, I know about everything, you know about everything. There's nothing that gets rotated in that you're going to be like, what's that? I haven't seen that before. And that's kind of the point of my channel. So that's not to brag. It's just like, it is the point of my channel. But I mentioned that it's a perfect primer for my nose. I'm going to also kind of bring it up into the center of my forehead. Not every foundation has issues taking to my nose, but a lot of them do. And having this be a thing that I do now has been very helpful. I don't need to credit her every time, but thank you, Stephanie of the Style Assembler, for saying that on your channel, and I'm grateful that I watched that video. So for primer today, I'm going to be using the Victoria Beckham primer in the shade Golden. It has been my goal to mostly use this up this summer. I'm trying really hard, except I've really been focused on the Bobbi Brown one I have. The Bobbi Brown one is more shelf stable than the Victoria Beckham. I had this primer once before, and towards the end of its career, it started acting up a bit and separating, and I don't want that to happen before this one goes off. So I need to make a focused effort on it. I know that we're like not even that close to the end of the summer, but why is summer the one season that lasts the shortest? I'm wondering if it's like a where I live thing, because I feel like summer, like if you live in Los Angeles or like if you live in a desert climate in the United States, I feel like summer lasts a really long time for you. Like it starts in May and it doesn't end until November. Like summer is a very long period of time for you. And I'm just talking like temperature wise, but like for me, it's like fall is a very long season that goes into the new year. Essentially, I feel like fall, it starts getting winter cold in like January and in February if it bothers to, which sometimes it doesn't. So I would say like fall is the longest season we have here. We get like 2 weeks of spring, then it's summer. But then summer ends. Well, is it capitalism that's forcing summer to end? Because I feel like September 1st hits and it's like, it's Halloween and you should be drinking a pumpkin spice latte. No. I really love this primer. I'm still a big fan of this primer. I like that this one has a little bit of a glow. I mean, I'm always going to add more glow because I'm me. Like, that's just what I do. But I like that this one has a little bit of a glow to it. Like, it has like a slight blur, a lot of plumping. Primer is one of those categories that I do cycle through quite a bit. But I would say that this one I use the least. Although it's starting to feel light, which is what I remember what happened at the end of the last one. So that is promising. And then once that's used up, I can just completely focus on the Bobbi Brown. Love that for me. And then for foundation, I'm just going to use the Surratt Dewdrop foundation. It's my favorite foundation, in case I haven't told you. Come here. It's my favorite foundation. I'm sorry that I'm annoying about it. Imagine if I had 20 foundations. What would even be my favorite foundation? I wouldn't even know. Well, it would be this, but you know what I mean? And that's not to judge. Anyway, again, I've been like really thinking about me doing this, how I feel about it, how I feel about life in general, very contemplative. I've been pretty sad and bummed about the state of the world and everything that's going on and everything. Like I've been just feeling a lot. I really want to follow in Charlie's footsteps and like, I don't want to feel feelings. I don't want to feel feelings. I really don't want to feel them, but yet here I am the feelings persist. I was watching other content creators and other makeup creators, and this is not to judge any makeup creators. I think all of us are allowed to navigate the space however we see fit. That's how I feel like you should navigate the beauty space as well, what you watch and what you actually choose to consume. I was watching someone do a declutter of foundations, and they just kept so many foundations, and I was just like, why? I was also talking to Stephanie, the style assembler. I have a group chat. I have a group chat with her and Brittany of Born Blushing, and I was just talking the one day, and Stephanie, and this wasn't her being mean, she was just like, Tom, I don't ever get the feeling that you don't like makeup, but it's like, I definitely see you being way more practical about it. And that's the thing. It's like, I only want to keep the good stuff. And so what's the point of keeping okay stuff? But from a content creator's point of view, keeping stuff to swatch against or whatever would be helpful to you. But not to me. That takes up retail space in my room. And my room is big, but I don't want my room to be just where I store makeup. I don't want it to be just my YouTube space, I don't want it to be that. I want it to be my bedroom. I want to watch TV in here. I want to work out in here. I want to do all those things in here. And just like having that much makeup around, it sounds exhausting and like it would take up a lot of space. That's not me bragging about having a small makeup collection. It's just like things I'm thinking about. I've been really enjoying my brushes need cleaned in the worst way. So don't. But I've been using this mud makeup brush. This is like from beauty school. I feel like every time I use a mud makeup brush, someone in the comments is like, what's that brush? It's like, you can't even buy these. I don't even know how I ended up with one, because I feel like right after I was done with beauty school, I went to look at their brushes. The brushes that me and the people I was in beauty school with had were already off their website. They're like a completely different shape now. I don't even think that they're this gray color. The combo of this and this, that's what I'm talking about. But in positive news, I had a not so sucky interaction on a dating app, and I'm going to meet up with them. I'm not calling a date. I'm not even getting my hopes up. That's the thing that's happening. Isn't that nice? But we're not going to talk about that in the comment section. You're not going to talk about it at all. That was just information I was sharing. That's not something to discuss. Can't talk about that because everyone's going to just get mad at me. But it is really funny. It's really funny. But I'm going to keep it to myself. I'm not going to share it with you. Foundations, I only have 5. And so I do get to touch all of them a lot. The only one that doesn't receive a ton of play is the Prada and the Guerlain foundation that I have. Prada is just because I think it's an okay foundation. I reach for it sometimes, but it's not my first choice. And and the Guerlain one is like a full coverage foundation. I'm not doing full beats like that a ton. Concealer, I have even less concealers than I have foundations, so I just kind of rotate through those pretty quickly. But in fact, it's been a while since I've actually touched down on my favorite concealer, the Surratt Dewdrop concealer, because I have 3 that I'm testing for a video, and then like, I've been testing concealers, and I keep wondering when the day will be that I will not have this anymore. But in case you're new here, I'll give you my beats about this concealer. I love that the formula is really thin. I love that it's a high coverage concealer while still being thin and performing well under the eye. It's the concealer that creases the least in the fold under my eye. And when it does even get into that fold, it doesn't look yucky. Like, of course, it doesn't look great when any concealer does that, but it doesn't look bad whenever what happens with this. It's just the reality of concealer. It's just the reality of the shape of my face. There's that fold there. Stuff gets stuck in it. It is what it is. I would love to be a person who takes my eyeshadow down that far and like do really blown out looks. I don't like the way that looks on me. Whenever there's too much eyeshadow underneath my eyes, I think it's something about the shape of my face. It's like there's retail space that gets lost, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with that. And then for a highlighter, I picked up the Auric GlowLust. I think I actually do a pretty good job rotating through all of my highlights. It's actually not a category that I feel like I have a lot of issues going through, and I just downsized them. So I feel like whenever I was getting rid of highlighters, I really just got rid of the ones that I never pick up to use. Sometimes I use this as a primer. So today I'm just going to do my whole cheek with it, both cheeks. I really love this stuff. I love that it has a little bit of coverage. I just think of the goops, it's my favorite shimmer goop. I'm going to keep it mostly on the high point of my cheek, but also blend it down to where we'll apply blush. Although I'm not really sure how the blush that we're going to use today will look with a shine underneath it, but we'll find out. The blush I picked is certainly something that I don't play with a ton. I still love glass skin, but I like it in a very particular part of my face, which I think is what highlighter is just supposed to be in general. But like, I just love that. I just love the way it looks. Here's an update for you. I don't think I've talked about this on camera. I showed it on Instagram, but I said in my video that I was going to declutter my Victoria Beckham bronzer, and I did. And here it is in my collection, but it's not. It's Intuition from Rituel de Fille. I repotted it because the component had busted from my Rituel de Fille, like the Rituel de Fille compact busted. And so I just repotted into here, and I really like this as a compact for this. There's not really enough product to fill up the whole thing, but I also had already hit pan in the Rituel de Fille component, so I think though, because I broke that Rituel de Fille component so quickly, and I think it's just because I use the contour all the time. The highlights I don't really use as much, but the contour I'm always opening and shutting and opening and shutting and opening and shutting. And I think that was what broke it. So I think I might just hold on to this and just always, when I buy a new Intuition, will just depot it into here because I just love this compact so much. I'm glad I found a new use for it. And in the video, I talked about how the magnet inside of the Victoria Beckham component it's not flat. I'll show you because I think it's worth showing you in case you had the same thought. Here's what the inside of the component looks like. These divots, it's like, I think it's only really magnetized in the center and in the four corners. Yeah. So I couldn't use it as like for a travel case for single shadows, which I would probably love to do that even more with it, but it gives me a new home for Intuition, which needed a new home anyway. So I'm very pleased with that. This wasn't something that I use Intuition every time I do my makeup. Nearly every time I do my makeup, Intuition is in play. Unless I'm doing something really, really bronzy, but it's the perfect contour for me. It's weird what categories I choose to be utilitarian in, but for contour, I don't need more than one contour. I want a contour to do a very, very, very specific thing. And there are very, very few contours, as we learned together in my cream contour video, that really hit the mark for me whenever it comes to what I'm looking for in color and experience, like all those things that I'm looking for in a contour. It's like, why would I need more than one? That's where I'm at with that. I'm going to set my face with the Prisme Libre powder. I would say of the powders I'm about to show you, this one is certainly the one that I use the least. It's in the Voile Rosé. I have given this powder a little bit of flack in my makeup collection, and I'm just going to tap it into everywhere I went mattified a little bit because I just wasn't sure how I felt about it when I first got it. But it is a nice blurring powder, and I also feel like it mattifies enough but it doesn't feel like it drains my face of moisture. It just looks really, really nice. I feel like a lot of the time, loose powder, I feel like, above all else, it is something that I feel like can go 1-2 skip a few and look really, really heavy really quickly, and that powder doesn't do it. The using a loose powder, to me, is like the aggravating part. It's not even that I don't like powder, like loose powder, it's the using of it. Like, I normally like the effect that they give, like if it's a good one, I'm willing to like use it, but I'm always gonna, like if I have a pressed powder and a loose powder, I'm going to reach for the pressed powder first, even if it's like less good. I the fuss of like getting enough out but not too much, and it's like Givenchy, it comes with, I already got rid of it, comes with like a puff that you put in here, and like the way that they because like whenever I was at Sephora, we had like a training on this, and what they want you to do is like to take it and then like flip it over with the puff inside, and then the G's for Givenchy like appear in powder dots on the puff, and you're supposed to just like press that into your face, and it's like, what a ridiculous way to tell me how to use a powder. Under my eyes, I just used the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Brightening powder. I don't know if this pan is completely flat or if there are ridges in the bottom, but it looks like I might be approaching a ridge because the powder is like lifting a little bit on the pan. So I'm wondering if there's another ring in there. I feel like I hit pan on it and I've like never looked back. And then finally, I'm gonna finish off with the Chantecaille Perfect Blur powder in my favorites. I just talked about how it's been nice to be able to like use this again because I'm not testing a ton of complexion products, and I don't really use it a ton under my eye. It's mostly like on the cheeks and then also like the top of my forehead. We still have the glow from the GlowLust, but oh, the skin's looking gorgeous. It's looking gorgeous. I did come across like a pretty old video of mine, and it was when I was kind of just like doing the glassiest skin ever, and I was like, it did kind of look good. It did kind of look good. I think where we're landing right now is a better place ultimately, but I really liked the way that looked. But it was also when I was filming in 1080, and the jump from 1080 to 4K, I think I'm now used to looking at myself in 4K. Whenever I see a video where I wasn't in 4K, I was like, there's a lot of forgiveness happening in that 1080. And that's not to say that everyone needs to be on 4K. It's just like, there's just something about it that's like a little more forgiving. For bronzer today, I pulled out the Gucci. It kind of hits the point of what I was trying to get at, where I was like using all the things that I've like neglected, but not really. My bronzer collection is now at a manageable size where like I've touched all of them within like the last month. But I will say like the Gucci one is the one I've been using the least. It's not to say it's bad or I feel like I don't like it anymore. It's just the undertone of this is much more suitable for me. I think just suitable in general for the like fall and winter months, which as I just said, it's a very long period of time whenever you live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's fall most of the year. So it really works in that time. But I have been enjoying, even if I'm doing a cool toned look, I have been enjoying just like a more bronzed face for summer. And I know that like some people feel like that kind of can clash, but who cares? Who cares about rules? Throw them away. It's not for me. I don't remember anything I've said in this video. I feel like I remember myself saying, throw it away. It's not for me. What was I talking about? Oh, color theory. No, color theory is a good, like a good working knowledge to have, even if you're not like 100% on it, which I don't feel like I am, but it's like knowing what does and doesn't work. But I also think it's worth playing with things where it's like, I like to have an icy blue eye and like an orange cheek. And it kind of works because orange and blue are kind of on the opposite sides of the color wheel. So it's like they complement each other. So that's why I think it looks good. For the blush, I think this is the first category where this like makes the most sense. And then eyeshadow and lip product will as well. And then I'm kind of cheating on mascara, but we'll talk about that when we get there. In my declutter series, I pulled out this blush. This is the Ombre blush. It's called Ombre from Chanel and it's discontinued. And this was sent to me in friend mail from Ananda, who's medium olive on Instagram. And when she sent it to me, I think this was like a little too cool toned for her. She is an olive skin tone, and I believe that she's a warmer olive. I feel like she does a lot of stuff with like orange undertones. You know, she still has fun, but like I feel like that's more normally her gig. And this was a little too cool toned for her. And she sent it to me and like she wrote a lovely little letter. She's like, I think you would really be able to use this as a contour. I think, you know, we just looked at that contour I usually use, and I obviously like a much cooler toned contour than this. There's something to it that I think works as a blush, and you know, it was initially sold that way. So I want to just apply it as a blush. I've used it before. It's just, I like forget that it's there because it's one of those blushes that's kind of just like so unassuming. Look at that. A beigey blush. Who knew that such a thing would be so appealing to me? Because it is kind of just like I would say like a cool leaning beige. This should be my new handle. Just change my handle now. Just be like, hi, welcome to my channel. I'm cool leaning beige. That's the complexion done. Highlight, bronzer, powders. Ooh, I really like the way my skin's looking today. I love the makeup I kept. I think I talked about this a little bit on Instagram when I was still on Instagram. I was just like, I've been playing with my makeup has felt so good. Like dipping into my collection and just like knowing that whatever I grab out of there is really just gonna do it for me and I'm gonna love it and I'm gonna enjoy it. Like I'm just like putting on, it's just like been really fun for me to play with all of this makeup. There's not a dud in the bunch. There's no surprises. There's no left turns. There's nothing that requires a lot of work because I just don't accept makeup that requires a lot of work. Like that's not what I want out of my makeup. And I think that's also like the most realistic approach to makeup. Like obviously there are a lot of people who really love to do detailed and get into the nitty gritty with their makeup where it's like, they want to like spend 30 to 40 minutes on their eyeshadow look. Not me. Not me. I don't want to spend that long on my base. I don't want to spend that, like, I just don't want to. Like, obviously in these videos, it takes me a long time, but I'm talking to you. I want my makeup to work in such a way where, like, if I wasn't on camera, I could do a 10-minute face of makeup and it wouldn't look much different than what it would look like if I recorded for an hour and I talked through all the makeup and I was telling you about it. I want performing makeup. And that's not to say that when people are doing looks that take a half hour to 40 minutes or like an hour or whatever, however long it takes for people to do their makeup. I used to like put aside 2 hours to do my makeup before an event because I just, you know, that's how much time I wanted to take with it. It doesn't mean I was using worse products at the time. That just means that that's how much time I wanted to spend on my makeup at that time. And now I'm in a place where like, I want to be able to like put it on and then that's it. Like no more concerns about it. Like that's the look. Let's talk a little bit about the eyeshadow palettes I pulled off, much like Ombre, which is like something that doesn't get a lot of play. I pulled out 2 eyeshadow palettes, and one gets regular play, the other one doesn't get much. So, but I wanted to combine the two. I think I don't know, but I pulled out my Hindash Beautopsy palette, which is mostly like a utilitarian palette to me. But when it comes to these kind of shades, I feel like I reach for my Viseart Grand Pro 1X before I reach for this. In fact, I reach for the sister palette to this much more than I reach for Beautopsy. Like the Monochromance palette, I pull out more. And I think it's because I like the undertones of that. This is like a little bit more straightforward, a little more primary feeling to me. But I just love this formula so much. Also, I'm now looking at it. It's like I do have some dips in some of these shades, which is nice. As you know, I love to see usage in my makeup. And then the other one is this. This is the Isamaya Industrial, and I've only used this one time this year. And in my declutter video, I talked about how this is something that I'm hoping rises back to the top as something in the forefront of my mind, because my relationship with this palette is like, when I got it, I really, really loved it. And then it's like, I just have had so many feelings about the brand and what they've chosen to do. And then I've put those feelings onto an inanimate object, which is this, but I already spent my money on it. And I really loved it, and I want to like fall back in love with it. And yeah, so I think we're just gonna do a smoky eye today, imagine. I'm gonna prime using the NARS Smudge Proof eyeshadow base. I'm getting my hair cut also on Saturday. I'm meeting up with this person immediately after my haircut. Yes, but I was honest about it. I said, I'm already getting my hair cut around this time. Can we get coffee at the little coffee shop next door? They said yes. And I was like, okay, bet. I'm a very busy person. I was like, I will be covered in hair. I will just be covered in hair. So we're just both going to accept it. And that's that. They found my YouTube channel so fast. I said it's something that I do. And they found it lickety split. And that made me so nervous. I guess if you look up makeup channel Tom, I would assume I have to be. Well, I guess there was Thomas, what was his name? Thomas, the one who caused all the drama back in the day. Thomas, why can't I think of his name? I could see him in my eye. I could see him. Anyway, I guess he could also pop up. I don't know. He found me so fast. Also, by the way, I didn't follow up on this. I didn't win Best of the Berg. There are 2 competitions, and there's one that's going on right now, which is Best of Pittsburgh, which is a different magazine. And that's the one I usually try like running for most years that I've done this so far. Except this year, I like caught that Best of the Berg was happening. Normally Best of the Berg happens and I like completely miss it. But this is the Best of Pittsburgh is running now. But the reason I don't campaign, I'm not going to campaign for Best of Pittsburgh is because it's like, I just campaigned for Best of the Berg. And I just don't want to annoy people with the voting. So anyway, all I will say is the people who handle Best of Pittsburgh are much more communicative about like everything that happens during the process. Best of the Berg just was like, voting's closed, and then you just didn't hear from them. Because like I was nominated. Basically, I found out like Best of Pittsburgh, I have found out that I was like in the top 3 or top 2 way before the magazine comes out. I just feel like that's nicer. Like they kind of let you know, it's like, hey, like maybe be prepared. And it's like, oh, cool. Thank you so much for letting me know. Like, I feel like they were like incredibly hands off about how they handled it. And it's obviously like, it doesn't really matter. Best of Pittsburgh, they do interviews with their winners. Best of the Berg didn't. And it was like, well, why should I care about this then? Because it's only exposure so much so that like my name would be in a magazine. I don't find that helpful. I feel like my YouTube channel requires some explanation, right? Like when I tell people about it, it's like I have a makeup channel. If they're young enough to know like who James Charles is, like that's like they think of something like that, and it's like, well, no, not like that, because I'm an adult. James Charles has like an agenda, and like I obviously have an agenda too, but it's like I'm trying to help people not spend a ton of money on makeup, where like a lot of people in this space, and this is not a read, it just is a fact. And I think most of the people who watch my channel are adults who also know this fact. We're selling things. We are. And I am too, right? Like, it's like, you know, I benefit from when you use an affiliate link and you buy something through it. Like, I do too. I don't push that as much as other people do, because like that's where a lot of the money is made. That's where a lot, like, yeah, affiliate links, not for me, but like what I know a lot of other people who like aren't trying to tell you like not to buy everything even if it is good. It's like that's where That's where like the money is made. So it's like I don't want people to assume that's what I do. I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that. But like it's like you have to like I said, you're all adults who are watching YouTube. Cause like I just know from my demographics, like my demographics don't skew young. And that's okay. I don't need them to. But it's like I feel like because you're an adult, you understand the transaction that's happening. It's like when you're anyway. So I don't want people to assume that like I'm out here trying to James Charles people in all senses of the word. I don't want people to think that I'm James Charles people up here. What terrible, terrible. I'm terrible. I think that's it for the Hindash palette. I'm gonna go into this palette. I haven't used it in a while. Like now these putty shades, I'm like, will they even work? These are more of like a finger painty formula, which makes sense because of the textures, but I don't want to apply too much of this black. I think I'm getting a lot of weird fallout, which is uncommon for me. Like I just don't experience that often. I don't think it was coming from the Hindash palette. Or it may just, no, it looks like a lot's happening out on this outer corner. Maybe I'm being sloppy, or maybe I should clean my brushes. So maybe that could also be part of the problem. Wow, we're going really smoky. My hairstylist was like, you do definitely have a curl pattern. And I was like, I do have a curl pattern. I'm really excited. I mean, my hair is like not even close to being like where it's supposed to be. I am going on a trip to Palm Springs in September. I've been trying to visualize what my hair might look like by then, like while I'm trying to grow it out to like what that's gonna look like. But I don't want to stop because I do ultimately want to have long hair, and I don't want to like. I'm trying really hard not to be like, if it doesn't look the way you want it to when you go, it's okay for you to go and your hair not be perfect. But in my head, that's not okay. It's like, well, I might just tell her to shave it all off and like go back to what have done for, you know, most of my life. Short on the sides, long on top. I really want my long hair. I want to see what it looks like now, long, because it does look curlier than I remember it. And I'm not saying I'm gonna have like an intense curl pattern, like a very tight curl pattern, but it's just like there's a lot of texture there, and I don't know if you've caught this in our time together on the internet, but like the top of my hair, I would always try to floof up and make the biggest. I could make it the biggest I possibly can. Like that was always like a goal of mine. And now I want to be able to do it with a lot of hair, and I'm just like really excited about the prospect of that. Ooh, I wonder if those will work. Let's try it. I hope they will. I'm gonna try a silicone applicator with this formula. I have really, it doesn't work on all shimmer formulas, but I have come around to like, I do try to reach for these when I can before going for my finger, mostly just to keep my fingers clean. Oh yeah, it looks like it's working. Ugh, yes. It's like not the perfect solution, but it is better than always like jamming my finger into an eyeshadow. This eyeshadow is incredible. If you watched Hannah's review on this, this was like the one eyeshadow that she actually liked. Ooh, smoke it out. When in doubt, smoke it out. And I always do. But I'm excited to go get my hair cut because I still like this still will be short, like right around my ear a little bit, like it was the last time I got it cut. But this time we're doing like a full cut, so I have a feeling we're gonna do some more transitional things because the hair back here is like, it's not long enough to really do anything with, but it's like, it's there, you know, it's now present in a way that it wasn't before. If you've ever tried to grow your hair out before, you know it's not fun because it's like, I have a vision for my hair right now where I'm not gonna see it potentially even be close to what I'm thinking it's gonna be for like 6 months. It's like, how do I sit in that discomfort while I wait for this to grow? Did I think about, jokingly, but not so jokingly, because I know it doesn't really do anything, did I think about buying sugar bear hair just as like a joke? Yeah, I did. I thought that would be very funny. To who? Just me? Oh, I didn't even mean sugar bear hair. I meant Halo Beauty. Except, does Halo Beauty still exist? I haven't been keeping abreast with what Tati's doing. I have seen her on TikTok lives shelling out weird products. That has been bananas. It was funny because I was actually on the phone with Cam and we had this like whole long hysterical conversation. It wasn't actually that long, but we were like really laughing really hard about me being ridiculous. And I literally like, we ended our conversation and I opened up TikTok like immediately after we hung up. And who was there but Miss Tati selling something? I know a lot of people like Industrial 2 better than Industrial 1. I think you're wrong. I did find Industrial 2 a good home. You know, I got it in PR. That was very nice. Probably should have put this silver down first. It's kind of like mattifying the shine of the sparkles. It's kind of just like taking over. But it's cool. It's kind of cool looking. I got a lot of fallout from that. Though. That was me. That was me. I knew better. I know better. Can I sweep this off without... I don't... How do people just sweep off fallout? Like, that's what happened to me just now. My beautiful base that I worked so hard on. Oh my god, and my battery's overheating. Oh my god, there's so much sparkle. The song will be old news by the time this video comes out. But like, have you listened to Kesha's Joyride? Joyride! Joyride! It's a batshit sounding song. I love it. I would play it for you, but I would get copyright strikes. But you need to listen to it. That's homework. Homework for you if you haven't listened to it. I'm gonna line my eyes with the black liner from Victoria Beckham. I want to highlight the inner corner with that. With that. And then for mascara today, I'm going to use, this is actually something that's like newer to me. Got it from CoverGirl. They sent it in PR and it's their Eye Enhancer mascara. They sent me 3 shades. I kept 2 of them. And this is the dark chocolate shade. It's basically black. It's not a lighter brown mascara, which I know a lot of people are looking for. It's still a very dark. I kind of like it. I also have the berry shade, which I already used in a video, like for a look, but I don't think I applied it on camera. The mascara is a little bit like gloopy. And I'm thinking that when it dries out a bit, like in a couple of weeks, I'm gonna really like it. But like right now, it does clump some of my lashes together in a way that I don't like, but it's only sometimes. It's not like all of the time. Cause like I feel like on this eye, I don't know if we're gonna be able to tell with how much eyeshadow I have on today. I don't know if you're gonna be able to tell. Like this side I think looks really good, and this side's like a little more clumpy. But I do like the way it fans out the eyes. Like it looks, I like it. I'm not like losing my mind over it, but like I think in a couple weeks time it's going to do its work in this world and I'm gonna really like it. And then for lips, I have Chestnut from MAC. This isn't something that's like languishing in my collection. For some reason, use the MAC ones the least in my lip liner collection. It's not even like I have that many lip liners. It's just like, for some reason, like I overlook these quite a bit. Get a little bit of a blurred lip line. And then for lipstick, and I did declutter a lot of lipsticks. I'm down to 11 lipsticks, and I decluttered almost half of them. And this is the shade Cimarron from Gucci. I don't pull this out a lot. I don't know why, because I like it. I don't need it that high up. I always use the same like lipsticks over and over again. It's like I'm using Merit 1990. I'm using a Royal Scandal. I don't know why those are like the only 2 that I really reach for the most in my lipstick. I go for my glosses a lot more than I go for lipsticks. I like the Gucci formula. I feel like we're looking very 90s today, except with a little bit of a holographic inner corner, which is like not what we did in the 90s. That ends the video. That wraps things up. So if I look at everything I used today, the first basically half of the video was mostly stuff is just like I have so little of it. I'm rotating through it quite a bit. I like have my eyes on that. Like I know a lot about it. But the Chanel blush is really pretty. It's kind of like a nothing blush, but I like that about it because I think sometimes whenever I pick a blush, I get a little bit of afraid to like make a distinct choice. And I just feel like this is a choice without like feeling like I've gone too far. The Hindash palette was great. It's like it always does what I want it to do. I do need to remember if I'm gonna use this palette to I'll just do my eyes first because that was crazy what happened there and we all saw it. Look at that eye look. It's really stellar. It's really pretty. We're back. Some people tell me that they've taken this part out, which I think I might do, mostly for storage reasons, but I need to like watch how people do that. I'm not really sure. I'm like uneasy about it. Anyway, that wraps up the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you happen to be new to my channel, well, what you saw here is a good representation of what I like to do. I like to focus on loving my makeup collection first and foremost before making the decision to purchase something new. I want to help myself and help you build the habit of just being more discerning about what we're buying in general, because on my channel, I focus on makeup. I also talk about fashion and I talk about fragrance as well. And I'm approaching it all from the same angle. So if that sounds good to you, I would love to have you subscribe. Make sure you like this video. I'm on Patreon and I have channel memberships. You can check those out down below if you are interested in that. It helps just keep the channel going, making it more a viable thing for me to be able to spend as much time as I do doing it. So I'd really appreciate it if you did that. But if you can't or simply don't want to, that's fine. There's no pressure to join. I'm happy you're here. Liking, commenting, and sharing my content is the best way to support me. I also have linked down below a link to help a family in Gaza. It's a GoFundMe that I got from Operation Olive Branch. You can check out all the details in those links down below. I would ask you to do that before donating money to me if you have the means to. And that wraps up the video. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to follow your haute and you'll find me. Go forth. Tits out. Joyride! Joyride!